Marv Tuttle has been a guest with our show On the Move through the years when we visited with him at the Abilities Expo and at the Monterey Aquarium, where he was helping in the kelp forest tank. Also, we interviewed Marv at the Los Gatos Scubathon, where they had swimmers underwater 24 hours using scuba gear. Currently, Marv provides a Day of Discovery scuba program where disabled children experience the fun of being underwater wearing scuba gear in the Monterey Aquarium's Great Tide Pool. Also, he and his service dog Yara star in a TV ad, and Marv is very involved with a new program at Canine Companions For Independence, placing dogs free of charge to disabled veterans and other people with disabilities. Today, our On the Move host, Donna Yeager, will get a chance to catch up on the latest and greatest activities of Marv Tuttle. Now, here's Donna.
Hi, I'm Donna Yeager with On the Move, and I'd like to welcome our very special guest, Marv Tuttle. Welcome, Marv.
Thanks, Donna.
And your assistant's dog, Yara.
I brought my service dog, Yara.
Right.
He's on the floor here.
Great. Well, we've known each other quite a few years, and we have been, oh my goodness, we've been all over the place. We've seen you at the Abilities Expo and a whole bunch of different places. But the first place that I met you was when you were at the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and I was at the very large tank with all the beautiful kelp, the kelp forest, and you were actually cleaning and scrubbing the windows with your suction cups, right?
Right, yes.
That's great. How many years have you been doing that?
I'm in my 11th year.
Wow.
Was brought into the aquarium, first of all, because I was a wheelchair-using scuba diver, and we never had one at the aquarium.
Yeah.
So I was brought in to both scuba dive at the aquarium and to help the aquarium become more accessible.
Great, wonderful. So you were giving your expertise as far as accessibility issues, huh?
That's right. I mean, obviously being a nonprofit institution, they knew they had to cater better to folks with a variety of special needs. And so the fact that I work with special needs children, I've learned about a lot of the needs that people with special needs have.
Exactly, yeah. So was the kelp forest always there, or was that like the main attraction at the beginning of the...
The kelp forest at the Monterey Bay Aquarium is the crown jewel.
Yeah.
It was the first large exhibit built on the first half of the aquarium.
Wow.
That's 10 years, or excuse me, 12 years older than the other half. So it is. It's the most mature and the most graphic of all of our exhibits.
Beautiful. It's just gorgeous. It's a lot of fun. And it's kind of neat, too, when you're watching the exhibit. It sways. So the kelp gently sways, and it's very soothing just to sit there.
It does. There's a lot of reasons that we do that.
Yeah.
But for the people standing outside looking in, that's what it really looks like under the water.
Right, right, yeah.
As divers, when we get in, we have to turn the machine off that does that, so we don't bang into the windows when we're cleaning the windows.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Wow. See, I just thought that it was naturally doing that, but they're actual machines that do that.
That's right, because we're pumping that water into the exhibit, so it's not influenced by whatever's going on out in the ocean in terms of tidal action.
Oh my gosh, that's cool. I didn't know that. So, and you're also involved in a scubathon, right?
Well, when we first started the small nonprofit organization that we have, we needed funding, and so we did a scubathon about 15 years ago where we invited scuba divers to come dive in a swimming pool an hour apiece over a 24-hour period. We had games at the bottom of the deep end of the pool for them to play, but they brought pledges with them, and that's how we were earning some of the monies that we needed for our nonprofit organization way back when.
Oh, that's great. And so your involvement with the Monterey Bay Aquarium, also you help disabled children to have a wonderful experience. What do you call that?
It's called Day of Discovery. It's a two-pronged program. We also have another program called Underwater Explorers that we run throughout the summer months for all typical children.
Wow.
And then I get 3 of those days every summer to bring in 105 special needs children with every conceivable special need, 8 to 14 years old, suit them up in full scuba gear, pay for their families to come into the aquarium, and pay for the child to take advantage of the scuba experience.
Oh, that's great. And it's kind of nice because the siblings get to see their brother or sister have fun in the water, and usually they're not able to experience that, so it's wonderful to see.
And not just their siblings, but they'll take photographs and videos and take that back to school for their school friends or not so good friends to see. Because we all know that nobody can be crueler to children than children, and a lot of my kids get picked on at school, and this kind of changes the boundaries, if you will. Yeah.
That's very true, very true. And I know that you have a lot of volunteers that actually help you out with it, right?
The program is, and many programs like this are driven solely through the kindness of others, just like your program here.
Exactly.
We, in fact, the aquarium at any given time, we have about 1,300 employees there, and over 1,100 of us are volunteers.
Wow.
So I'm able to utilize a lot of that volunteer staff to run my program as well. It couldn't happen without the volunteers.
As we know, too, with our TV show, I mean, without our volunteers, we wouldn't have a show. There would not be a show without them.
There's no way most of us could afford to pay for that.
Exactly, right, yeah. They're so wonderful, and that's great that you're able to, receive help. And you told me that the volunteers that are involved with your programs, they keep asking to come back year after year.
They do. We have a small paid staff that we hire for the summer program, but I have to supplement that because I want way more divers because of my kids' needs.
Right.
And so some of my divers will take unpaid days off from work.
Wow.
They'll take vacation days, whatever it takes to be there. It is the most warm and fuzzy experience that these people can participate in.
Oh, that's great. That's marvelous. Well, I know that you were able to also, working in the tide pool area. You said, how many years you've been doing that?
We've had this program. This will be the 11th summer.
Wow.
I start recruiting kids in January, even though the first event doesn't happen until June, and I'm all booked up already with 105 spots, 105 kids of every conceivable special need. I say no to none of them.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
And we do use the Great Tide Pool at the aquarium, which is a part of the ocean.
Yeah.
So the kids are actually experiencing scuba diving in the ocean.
Wow.
We stock the Great Tide Pool with critters, so the kids are swimming amongst some large starfish and crabs and hermit crabs and monkey-faced eels and all kinds of things that not all kids get to do.
Yeah, yeah. How about sand dollars? I love those sand dollars.
We got lots of sand dollars, both living and not. And we have actually exhibits in the house with living sand dollars too.
Oh, pretty.
People have never seen that.
Right, yeah. My favorite are the seahorses. I love the seahorses.
Everybody does. Yeah, it's an amazing critter.
They're so graceful. Well, and also, you recently showed me a photograph of that you were at the baseball game with the Giants, right? Tell us about that.
We, in City of San Jose celebrates Disability Awareness Week every year, and San Jose Giants participate in that. Okay. And so the organization that I volunteer for, that we get our service dogs from, went and we were showing our dogs and visiting with people. Well, them knowing that I was coming asked me if I could teach my dog to take out the first pitch. And so I worked with him for a couple of weeks with some Little League kids at the Little League Park. It didn't take long. He and I started out at the pitcher's mound. Yeah. The catcher was behind home plate. I gave the dog the ball. I gave him the command. The new command I taught him, home. He ran home. Wow. I taught the catcher to say drop, and he dropped the ball in the catcher's glove. And then he said Marv, and the dog ran back to me. And flash bulbs were going off, and people were cheering. Yeah, and he held up to the whole thing. It was pretty amazing.
That's wonderful. And what's the mascot's name? I saw the mascot on the...
Yeah, he's kind of a scary-looking guy. His name is Giganto. And I didn't know he was going to be there. And so we just started the process, and he comes walking out and stands behind the catcher. I go, oh, no, it's my dog. And I think he didn't even notice it because he knew I'd given the catcher a couple of treats. And if he dropped the ball in the catcher's glove, the catcher was going to give him a treat. So he was oblivious to anything else that was going on around him, including that big old funny-looking mascot.
That's funny. Oh, my God. Well, actually, speaking of the Abilities Expo, you actually take turns manning a booth at the Abilities Expo for Canine Companions for Independence, right?
That's right, we do. It's all, that's once again is all volunteer driven.
Right.
And since we have a variety of dogs that do a variety of jobs, we do like to rotate, so people that have specific needs, whether it's a hearing impairment, a young child that needs a service dog, or an older person like myself, or a veteran, we can show people those different things. The booth isn't big enough for all of us to be there at the same time, so we do rotate through.
Yeah, well, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, and also at the Abilities Expo, I mean, there's so many people with different, all kinds of a huge array of disabilities that it really is wonderful. If there's a little disabled child that has a CCI dog, then that's great that a little disabled kid that has no idea that they can, you know, have help with things dropping on the floor and having a dog pick up the item for you. That's great.
and the dogs also bring a lot to the table in terms of our independence.
Oh, yeah.
And children with special needs are just learning about the independence thing. They've been catered towards their whole life. The dogs allow them to kind of break away and be on their own, whether it's at school or out in the field.
Right. Well, you do a lot of volunteering in a whole bunch of different organizations, and you public speak in front of large groups, and
I do, both for my Day of Discovery scuba program. I'll visit schools and take dive equipment with me to schools that have special eds classes. With my service dog, this is a $40,000 dog that we pay nothing for. So I'm trying to find every which way that I can to try to somehow pay the organization back. So I do. I visit service clubs that financially support the organization. I visit schools to teach kids about service dogs and how to approach service dogs. And that kind of helps people to understand our need, and that we're just regular people. We just have something probably either physically or mentally wrong, then our dogs are helping us overcome that.
Exactly, yeah. And they're a wonderful comfort as well, you know.
They are, and I think a woman who's a wheelchair user, it makes good sense to have a big dog by her side when she's out in the field. That might be a deterrent for some of the unfortunately bad people who are out there that maybe want to prey on people with disabilities.
Exactly, yeah, that's true. And I was talking with you earlier about it, that my dog is so wonderful, and I was away for a day and I wasn't able to bring him with me, so I would, you know, you have no idea until you don't have the dog how desperately you really need, you know, your service dog. And it's, you know, just for if I drop something on the floor, which I do 100 times a day, you know, I mean, the dog's right there to pick it up for me and give it to me, and, you know, they're just with the little smile on their face and their wagging tail. It's just
yeah. And I think they need us as much as we need them. And most of these dogs that are being bred for service dogs, I swear, love us more than they love themselves. So they want to work for us and do for us.
It's true.
It's quite a relationship that we have with our service dogs.
True. Yeah. And we're going to talk a little bit about your, when I saw you at the Abilities Expo, that you used a special gadget to get around. There was a wheel in the very front of the wheelchair, basically a fifth wheel. You have four normally, and then there was a fifth one that it's almost like a bicycle, right? Like a hand bicycle.
There are a variety of mechanisms to make wheelchairs easier to handle for people. The one that I really like just clips onto my wheelchair. It's a hand cranking mechanism, so it gets my hands off the push rims. It eliminates some of the problems that you can have with your wrists and elbows. It's got 8 speeds on it, so I can deal with hills and downgrades. It's got brakes on it, and it actually lifts my casters off the ground. So now I'm just on 3 wheels. I'm also a hand cyclist, but I can't be on my hand cycle all the time. So this also serves as a great cross training. If I'm going to be in my wheelchair, I might as well be duplicating what I would be doing if I'm in my hand cycle, and that serves me well in that regard. It levels out sidewalks. You don't feel the cant in the sidewalk because it's much easier. It's just amazing how it's just another tool that we have with wheelchair users.
So basically, you could even use that like at a park. You know, if there's a hiking area where you know it's a flat area, or even maybe a little hilly, but that gives you a good workout.
It does, and it'll take on grass and
wow.
gravel, and because it's a bigger wheel in the front instead of your small little casters,
Wow.
you've got much more bearing surface. So yeah, you'll take them. I'll go in places with my wheelchair with that on
Yeah.
that I would never think of going with just my basic wheelchair.
Exactly, and you know, it was kind of cool. I was watching television. I don't watch it that often, but I was watching it, and all of a sudden I see you on TV. It was really wonderful to see you with Yara.
I can't even go anywhere anymore without people saying, "I saw you on TV." And what had happened was, is a mattress company that took on our organization as a financial aid, and they wanted a veteran with a service dog to run some commercial time for them. And so they're starting to show that on TV. In fact, they shot enough footage over 2 days that in increments, you're gonna be seeing my ugly mug and my good-looking dog on TV for the next 5 or 6 years. That was a lot of fun. And once again, my method of helping to pay Canine Companions for Independence back for my dog.
Right, yeah. Well, and Yara, boy, sorry, Yara. He's a very good boy, and I mean, even today you said that you've had a long day, so.
We've had a long day, but these dogs are so well mannered and behaved. In fact, if they're not, they don't make the final cut as service dogs. So when you get a true service dog, and there's a lot of fake ones out there, these are dogs that will cut the mustard and do the job that they're supposed to do, even when they've had a long day like he has.
Right, yeah. And also you're involved with a special program that you're working on now regarding the veterans, right?
The organization Canine Companions for Independence is now adopted wounded veterans because there are unfortunately so many of them coming back. I'm a Vietnam veteran, and it took a long time for people to recognize us. So we now have the Wounded Veterans Initiative, which recognizes veterans with a disability, and it does not have to be service connected. Mine is not service connected, but we want to take those veterans and bring them into the program, grant them this $40,000 dog, take them through 2 weeks of training. They never see a bill for any of this. They don't start paying for anything until the first day they get home. Now, obviously, you're responsible for food and grooming and the vet. In the VA system, takes our dogs on as a prosthetic and pays for all of our vet bills. So any veteran that gets a service dog, there's very little monetary reason for not having one. And so I help veterans to recognize that.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's marvelous. So, so it's going to be all over the Bay Area, or in the San Jose area, or, I mean, you have like a chapter for the veterans program, right?
Within the organization, we have chapters that handle both puppy raising and puppy training. We do a lot of fundraising for the organization. My visiting schools and other organizations, that's all channeled through our South Bay chapter. People who want to find out more about dogs or help us fund this nonprofit organization. That happens through our local chapters, and we do have a big chapter in the South Bay. Right.
So you also told me that you like speaking in front of large groups, and like the one picture that you showed me, it looked like a restaurant kind of a setting. So
that was actually a dining room at a large golf course where I was addressing a women's club. So a lot of women's clubs, service clubs like Lions International, Rotary Club, financially support our organization. They've adopted our organization because they believe in what it is that we're doing. So they want to see the full circle, if you will. We've given your organization some money. What's happening with that money? We'd love to meet a veteran. We'd like to hope that we've helped a veteran. So that's when I show up. And I have no problem, as you can probably tell, speaking in front of a group. And so I just tell the story about the organization, how the dogs are trained, how we breed our dogs, and then they feel comfortable about the donations that they've made.
Exactly, so they know firsthand where the dog is going, and and you, I mean, you as a disabled person receive a lot of training, before you receive a service dog.
That's right. And whether it's my work at the aquarium or the work with my dog, people are anxious to know the nuts and bolts of how that all happens. Whether they want to go to the aquarium, or they've been there, or whether they want a service dog or not. People are just curious of how does that all work. My dog was trained for 18 months in a men's maximum security prison.
Wow.
A lot of people don't know that that's going on, so it's fun to share those things with people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's so true.
I'd like to meet Yara.
Yeah, well, you could stay there, just see if Yara would hop
stand.
up.
So stand is one of his commands. And I leash him up. And then another command is lap. Yara, lap. So why would I want him to lap? Well, I might want to look at his ears and make sure his ears are healthy. Look at his teeth. People may want to just get a little closer to him and say hi where he's so low to the ground. So that's my Yara. He's 5.5 years old, fully 2-year trained service dog.
Wow.
With about 50 commands.
Yeah.
So he knows how to turn on and off lights, open and close doors and drawers. He's a puller. He pulls me in my wheelchair with a different harness. So that's my good buddy Yara.
And it's important to educate people that very similar to a guide dog, the dogs should not be petted, and we're working.
The difference between guide dogs for the blind and service dogs are you should never, ever even ask to pet a guide dog because they're constantly working. Service dogs are sometimes in between, and we love people to ask us if it's okay to say hi, but ask. I brought him home one day from a large event, and somehow someone had gotten to him. He had big lipstick kiss prints on the top. Somebody had kissed him unbeknownst to me. Had they asked to do that, I would have said no. So
never.
People just need to be respectful of the dog, and the dog's working. So
exactly, and you could be doing a command that is really important, and I mean, it could be almost a dangerous situation if
that's right. Because some people, depending on your level of disability, have more need, and the dog has to anticipate that need, and the fact that you may be getting ready to give them a command. So you're right. You have to call that shot.
Oh yeah. Well, if people are interested in finding out more about your program, who would they contact?
You can channel your questions through me, whether it be about the work I do at the aquarium, my special needs scuba program, or my work with my dog, through my email address, which is mtpoppy, so that's mtpoppy at sbcglobal.net. Or people can check my website out, which is also got a link to get in touch with me. And the website is all one word, specialkidsscuba.org.
Great.
If people want to get directly in touch with, for instance, Canine Companions for Independence, we prefer to call it Canine Companions for Independence, but we'll shorten that to CCI to make our web access very, very easy. That's cci.org. cci.org. We'll get them to the website where they can find out all about our dogs. They can fill out an application right there to get the process started to get their service dog. But I do take time, and I'm working with a number of people right now in a mentoring way who are waiting for their service dogs, because as amazing as these dogs are, it's about a 2-year wait to get one. So people think they've forgotten about me, and I'm there to encourage them through the process. So there's a couple of different ways you can get in touch with me.
Okay, great. And you also told me about there's a whole bunch of different programs at CCI as well, like the puppy program.
And we actually breed our own dogs and train them at 4 different levels. We train service dogs, we train hearing dogs, we train skilled companions for people who can't handle a dog themselves that another handler would, and we also train facility dogs for people that work in a facility, like a nurse or a doctor or a
hospital
occupational exactly. So we have a different levels, and then we breed our own dogs. And then the dogs at 8 weeks old go to puppy raisers for 18 months. Anybody in your audience can be a puppy raiser. We would encourage that. And then they go back to the campus for 6 months of intense training, and then we finally get the call when they're 2 years old.
Wow. And the graduation is a very emotional time too. So.
I would love to have the tissue concession at one of our graduations. There is not a dry eye in the house, and we fill up a very large auditorium with guests. And so it's a pretty amazing thing to see. And anybody's welcome to come to one, regardless if they're interested in a service dog or not, just to find out about the organization.
Right, that's fantastic. Well, I definitely think that more people, will be contacting just to, especially the puppy raisers, because everyone loves a puppy.
Yeah, a lot of people who are interested in puppy raising say, I don't think I could give that dog up at 18 months.
That's the hard
And that's
part.
one of my jobs, to help people see the full circle. If you hadn't puppy raised a dog, then there wouldn't be a dog there for me to have, and people have to appreciate that relationship.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so say, for example, if a puppy raiser, gets towards the end of their raising of the puppy dog, then, it is. It's important that they realize that. Because, and even the disabled person doesn't even realize how wide of a spectrum that is. How much the person really needs it, but emotionally as well as physically.
That's right. Yeah. No, they fill both voids.
Right.
And
maybe if you could tell us one more time what that email.
If you want to contact me for any of the things we discussed, it's probably the easiest thing to do. Would be to go to my website, all one word again, Special Kids, plural, specialkidsscuba.org, or email me at mtpoppy@sbcglobal.net, or go straight to CCI at cci.org. And of course, the Monterey Bay Aquarium has their own website as well. You can just Google Monterey Bay Aquarium and get answers to a lot of the things that we've been discussing.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Well, Marv, I want to thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.
I appreciate being asked, as always. I do. Yeah.
And thank you.
He's all curled up. He's ready to call it a day. Yeah.
And thank you so very much for joining us. Until next time, I'm Donna Yeager with On the Move. Have a wonderful day. I think it's important that people realize that you can't pet the dog, it's really so important.
And some people go as far as actually putting a patch on the dog's vest that says, please do not pet.
Right.
It's a personal thing. Personally, I want people to know that my dog is friendly.
Right.
I want people to ask me questions about my dog and learn more about it. So I'm okay with people, but you gotta ask.
Right. Well, when I was at Hewlett Packard, I had people petting the dog when I was on the phone with my customers. It's like, no.
Yeah.
So I did. I had to put a sign on the dog saying, don't pet the dog.
Yeah.
At my desk, even.
And I think a lot of people just don't understand that. I find that children will correct their parents before the parents will correct the children, because when I visit schools and I teach children that all you have to do is ask. But that goes for anything in life.
Yeah,
ask before you do.
That's true.
Our dogs are no different.
Yeah.
And I also teach children to ask, because not every dog is a friendly dog.
Right.
You might bring back a bloody stump if you pet some guy's pit bull without asking him if it's okay.
Exactly,
So,
right. You need some.
There's two good reasons to ask first.
Yeah, at all times.